And right now we are joined by former New York Jet Wesley Walker. Wesley, thanks for joining us on Over the Top Sports Radio, our 100th show. Thrilled to have you on board, and let's get started to your career. Grew up in California and went to school there, but then you're drafted by the New York Jets. You got to come all the way across the country to New York. What was that transition like for you?
For me, it was very exciting. I'm still experiencing to this day, and I hate to say this, I'm 63 now. I'm still here. I consider myself a Long Islander New Yorker, even though I'm from California. But there's still a lot for me to do and see here on Long Island in New York City, and I experience good things every day. So it was very, very, very wonderful for me coming in. And as a youngster, you don't know some of the pitfalls that are going to come with it. You kind of make adjustments as you go along. But I was very excited, and I was glad the Jets had drafted me, and I would have it no other way. And I'm glad to say, as a veteran player, that I never played for anyone else.
And that's what I was going to ask you, Wesley. You took the question right out of my mouth. How fortunate did you feel to play your whole career for just one franchise, for one team?
Well,
because it's something that's rare these days.
Yeah, it's sort of good and bad. Obviously, now guys can move around. The money's a lot better. We didn't have the movement and the freedom to do some things to mark yourself. And it's nice to be able to, if you have a successful season and you can go someplace and make it better for you financially, and I'm all for that for the players, because now when I look back on my career, even though I had 13 years, I've had a lot of injuries that have come along with that, and you didn't know as a youngster how you're going to be feeling, and so you want to set yourself up. And one of the regrets that I do have, that I came a little bit too early, and we didn't make as much money, and there weren't things available to you, even just for training purposes. It's gotten better and better and better, and that's something I truly miss. And even being with a team where you could ultimately get to the Super Bowl and have more success. But I'm definitely proud of the accomplishments that I did have, and I've been blessed, and I was very fortunate not to be able to move around, because now you don't have any I can look at certain guys around the league. They've been with a couple of different teams. It's hard to make a decision what team did you really play for and have a home. And I can say the New York Jets was a home for me.
So being 63 years old and knowing the research and studies that we do now about the CTA and the concussions, do you have any thought? What's your thoughts on that? Do you have any side effects, mood swings, anything like that today or at any point?
It's very disappointing. With the way they're approaching this thing, and when it first got signed, where they said they are going to have this big settlement for the players, and I don't think there's been anyone, even the post board, for this whole CT concussion program and this settlement. One of them was Mike Webster, and his family has not received any benefit. I don't know of anyone who has. They're having a big problem with players who are getting tested. I talked to one of my teammates, and he doesn't even know where the records are. His lawyer can't even get the information. No one seems to know. I had an appointment in June. They sent me a letter with another date. Matter of fact, when I opened up the letter, it had me an appointment for that day, and I called my lawyer because I was supposed to go on the 27th, and they had an appointment for the 20th, and it happened to be that day, and he thought maybe they may have backdated the letter. There's so much turmoil, and I had to reestablish another appointment, but it's going very slow. There are certain issues that I'm having, especially with injuries, and I mean, I've never thought about being hurt. I mean, when I got hurt in college, that was one major thing, but since my playing days, I've had most of my major surgeries, and I've had a neck fusion. I have 14 screws in my neck. I've played in a cage. I had in 214. I had my shoulder done, and that was my second surgery because I had my other shoulder reconstructed in the 90s. But this was after my career was over. But in 214, I had a 6-level back fusion. I have 10 screws and 2 big rods there, and I had my Achilles done in 214 also. So I had 3 major surgeries, and my body is just really falling apart. I've lost motor function and losing function in my right hand, and I have all this atrophy. There are certain I know there's a lot of guys with depression and certain things and taking certain medications, and I'm very fortunate. I kind of control that, but you think about certain things when you get down, when you can't do certain things. I mean, I used to be one of the fastest in the NFL, and when you can't even run, and I remember what maybe started thinking about retiring from teaching when I couldn't even beat one of my elementary school kids across the gym floor, And but now I just was talking to a friend of mine saying how just here trying to play catch with you, it's just drudgery in the way you feel when you get up. And there's times where when I'm driving, I'm going to the movies or I'm sitting too long. I can't even hardly walk or get up. And I'm going through testing right now. I haven't had the mood swings, but I am having memory issues, and I fight with my significant other all the time. I'm constantly making wrong turns, leaving the keys in the front door. I mean, this is like multiple times I've left my car running in the driveway. I have an automatic starter where I've left it in the driveway for 5 or 6 hours, just forgetting, or you go into a store and the doors are open with the car running, and I'm in there shopping, and so I'm starting to look at things and starting to experience certain things. But just getting up and having pain every day is something that I never thought my body would go through, and you just don't think about those things as a youngster, and you're not, obviously we weren't aware of those things, and you have to think about would you do this again. And right now I would say no, the way my body feels, it's not worth it. I want to be healthy and I want to feel good, and I just don't feel good a lot of times, but you have to exercise, you have to keep motivated, and do a lot of volunteer work with the elderly, the people that are having strokes or dementia, and I kind of relate some of the things that they're going through, what some of the athletes are going through right now, and I'm going to be an advocate of at least being a spokesperson, and I'm hoping the NFL will really wake up and stop lying and really tell the truth, because a lot of the benefits they say they're doing, there's nothing being done right now, and that's the scary part of this whole thing, and they make so much money. And I wish the NFLPA or Players Association or just the system itself had a insurance program that the players could buy into, especially after their careers are over, because you're going to have the debilitating injuries or what's going on. So I can only hope for the best and hope that I don't have that CTE or get dementia or whatever, but I'm having certain symptoms of certain things. You just want to check it out and make sure it's not that, or at least whatever it is, you can start maybe focusing on it and do some type of preventative medicine if there's something out there. But from what I gather with the things that a lot of these players go through, there's no remedy for it, and you're just going to have to deal with it. But I have some players who are suffering, who have been diagnosed for, like say, Parkinson's, and the NFL is not doing anything about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't get these tests until the day you pass, and they can't do anything until they study, which kind of sucks.
One of my teammates, Mark Gassino, said he had CT, dementia, and Parkinson, and now that I've volunteered, my girl has a companionship aid business, and we have patients that have, multiple, it could be dementia and Parkinson's at the same time, and I thought Mark was kind of off his rocker, and mentally not all together, but you can have these issues. And he supposedly got awarded for a benefit, and then they took it away by appeal. So he wanted at least in this interview, to call out Roger Goodell. And what's very disappointing, Roger was a good friend of ours. He worked for the Jets. He was an intern for us when I first got to the Jets. And for some reason, I thought it was going to be different, and maybe he'd make a difference in really trying to establish some programs for the players, but it just doesn't look that way.
And we're speaking with Wesley Walker. Wesley, thank you again for joining us. Wesley, with everything that you just said, I have a 2.5-year-old son. Would I be foolish to let him play football growing up?
I wouldn't say foolish, but I'd have to be cognizant of the fact, and I talk to kids all the time and parents, and I'll give you an example. There was a friend of mine who reached out to me and said her sister's son wanted to play. He's had several concussions, and he still wanted to play. And I sent him a tape of Dr. Amalo, who the movie Concussion was based on. Yep. He gave a nice talk, and he believes that players at age 15, you're not developing enough, you shouldn't play contact football. And it makes a lot of sense, and I was very impressed with it. And what his experiences was when this all came about, and even fighting the NFL. And I have children. Thank God they play lacrosse, but it's still a contact sport. You have to monitor certain things, especially when I see little kids that are in the PAL, and I've seen kids take some heavy shots, and no little kid should be going through this at this time. Anybody can get a concussion, but at that early age. So my focus, if they want to play football, was to get it some type of flag or non-contact type of league, because it's a fun sport. There's a lot of benefits that come from it. I was talking to Curtis Martin, where the NFL has benefited where he can influence people in a different way. And I understand what that's all about. I've been able to make a lot of contacts and being a role model and experiencing things. But I'm also going to tell the truth about what it does to my body and what can happen with it. And some players haven't had that focus, and they focus on the things that we can do as athletes and what the NFL has given to us. And I'm not discrediting that, but the bottom line is, do you want your kid to end up getting hurt permanently where it's going to have a lifelong consequence? I do not like it. I think about this kid at Sachem just doing a drill with this log. It's not the movies. It's not the Navy SEALs. This big log. NFL players would have a problem carrying this thing, and it fell and hit him, and he ended up dying. Nothing is worth that. So I would not want my kid to get hurt in a way where he's gonna suffer a long-term consequence. And that's my philosophy. But everybody's different, and most players in the NFL, probably 90%, they would do it all over again because the money is good, and that's probably the major focus for a lot of kids because they don't have anything, and it's based on a monetary thing, and that's not for me. I don't like the way I feel. I wouldn't want my kids to feel that way. But one of the things with my kids, they played football. I would encourage them, and it's their decision. But I know one of my boys who had back surgery, it was probably from high school football when he played lacrosse, and that's the consequence. But, people want to do it. They love it. And then this kid I was talking about wanted to play even though he's had several concussions, and I sent him all this material. I sent him a tape of the Dr. Armalo. I sent him an article on all the injuries that I had, and I felt that he probably should think about not playing or taking a chance because you keep doing that long-term damage every time this happens. And he still wanted to play, and he still played. And, there's nothing you can do about that, but it's all a decision on parents and the kids themselves.
1034, talking with former New York Jet Wesley Walker. And I want to talk about your career real quick. And one of the things I've always wondered about was that 1983 season for you. It was the big draft with all the quarterbacks out there, and the Jets obviously pass on Dan Marino. Now, Ken O'Brien, though, had some really good seasons for you guys. Talk about, maybe that feeling around then, passing on Dan Marino for a relative unknown and Ken O'Brien. But then you did have some really good years and games with Ken. Just the camaraderie you guys had and just that whole dynamic right there.
Well, just let me say this. Kenny O'Brien is one of the finest human beings you'll ever meet. I have a great deal of respect for him, and he kind of reminded me of a quarterback that I had in college who never got a chance. They thought he would probably be the next Joe Namath, and he passed away of cancer. But Kenny O'Brien had his same type of personality, his demeanor. I had a great relationship with him, and I had a reporter, I think Ward's and some other people, I forget the name, he wrote a book, I can't think of his name right now, he'd probably kill me, he wrote the book with Brady and Peyton Manning. But I said I would take Kenny O'Brien. I said I never played with Joe Namath, and I love Joe Namath. Like I've known him for years, even though I didn't play with him. I said I would take Kenny O'Brien over Joe Namath, over Dan Marino, or John Elway. And I watched the Kenny O'Brien and Superstars competition where he outplayed all of them. And if Kenny O'Brien had the protection, had the surrounding cast around him, and obviously we had some, to me, Hall of Fame type players, but we just didn't have enough of them to be successful to get to the Super Bowl. And it helps when you have a surrounding cast around you. But his ability, he would get pummeled and keep getting up. But I had complete confidence in him. He's one of the best players that I've ever been around. And, I'm always going to be first and foremost, maybe it's a little prejudice to my teammates. But we had a lot of great athletes that just didn't get the respect or because because we didn't win. We had guys. I mean, Joe Flacco could play with anybody. You had to double and triple team. People couldn't cover me one-on-one. They could double, triple team, and you just don't get open. But we had some fierce competitors on our team, and it's a shame that because we didn't get to the Super Bowl or we didn't make the playoffs a lot, and we did pretty good in the 80s, but we just didn't have enough of that where you get the publicity and the acknowledgement that you really deserve, and that was a problem with the Jets. And we still have that problem right now, so hopefully they'll turn it around.
Well, in fairness, Dan Marino never got that Super Bowl either.
And that just tells you how difficult it is. And one of the things people get mad, the New England Patriots have been there so many times, and you got to respect Tom Brady and Belichick. To get there that many times, and fans get mad at me because I'm an AFC guy and I'm going to support them whether they're in the Super Bowl or not. But just to get there, so that's a feat in itself. But you just hit it on the head. Here's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and it's hard to get there, And when you do get there, you don't know if you're going to ever get there again, and that's a part as a youngster you don't really realize that. And I think about Cam Newton, as great as he had the one time they got there, they lost, and he hasn't come close, and he may not do that again. That's how difficult it is. And when you get to this level, everybody is really good. I don't care if you're on the last place team. These guys they're just tremendous athletes. So I've been blessed to be able to have somewhat success. It wasn't as successful as I wanted to be. It could have been a lot better. And most of that for me, it could have been a lot better and probably be in the Hall of Fame if I could have stayed healthy some of the years that I did get hurt, because I could have probably doubled the numbers that I had. But some of my numbers are just as good as some of the guys that are in the Hall of Fame that I competed against. So, but that's here nor there. But you just thank God for what you did receive, and I've been blessed.
Well, last one from me real quick. And first of all, Gary Myers wrote that book.
There you go. I didn't think it's like interested me, but I guess when I made that comment, there's a doctor friend of mine had taken me to a book signing he had, and we were doing a little Q&A type of thing, and I had said that they think I'm just off my rocker, But Kenny O'Brien never got the respect he really deserved, and I don't think a lot of people knew how great we really are. There's been talk with Joe Flacco being pushed for the Hall of Fame. This is Mark Gastineau. These guys did unbelievable things, but we just didn't get the publicity and the things that we needed to get. And a lot of that comes with winning and going to Super Bowls and being in the playoffs consistently,
And one last question here, Wesley, and we'll let you go to the Stars and Stripes at Belmont over there. You've had a lot of moments in your career. You led the NFL in receiving in '78. You had 4 touchdowns in one game, and then you were unguardable in the '82 playoffs. What is your favorite moment of your whole NFL career?
Well, I've had a few of them, and just being around my teammates and the people that I've met over the years. But one really would stand out because I made some catches where I had to surprise myself where I said, God, that wasn't me just doing this by myself. It had to be God intervention or something. But I remember in '86 when you mentioned the 4 touchdowns in Miami, but and there was Kenny O'Brien, and there were some great players on the one last drive. We had no time left, hardly, and we do this drive, and there were some spectacular plays by Johnny Hecker running and hook and ladder by Mickey Schuler to just go across field to get out of bounds, and we had like 5 seconds left. And we were in a special formation. I've been dying to finally be in there to do this. And Miami was in the right coverage where I shouldn't even have been able to get open and get in there. But Kenny O'Brien had enough confidence in me to try to stick it in there in between like 3 or 4 defenders. And there was no time left. And catching it with your hands over the middle. And to me, it was the God intervention thing. And I'm like, I didn't even realize what had happened. I'm like, I can't believe I just caught this. And we tied it up. And then we obviously went on to win the game in overtime, and I had a winning touchdown catch with that, but I would have been able to do it without Kenny O'Brien and the rest of my teammates. Because people don't realize how much of a play. It could be just a little blitz pickup on a particular play that a running back picked up that makes that play work. So that's why it's always a team effort type thing, and I wouldn't have had my success without my teammates, and certainly with Kenny O'Brien.
All right, well, Wesley, we thank you so much for joining us today on Over the Top Sports Radio, and shared a lot with us, definitely a lot of insight, and we thank you so much for your time. And now enjoy your weekend and the rest of your 4th of July celebration.
Well, I appreciate everything, and I wish you guys good luck, and I'm glad you're doing well.
Thank you so
very
much,
much.
Wesley. Wesley Walker, former New York Jet.